Joining me now is a legend from before, during and ever since the 90s. We first fell in love with Belinda Carlisle when she achieved huge success as a member of the Go-Go's, following with an incredible solo career which earned her 7 UK top 10 singles. Well, Belinda is back. She's just released a brand new single, Big Big World, and there's an EP to follow in May. And Belinda joins me now. How are you, Belinda?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am very well indeed. Where are you in the world?
Well, I'm in Mexico City. That's where I live.
How incredible.
Yeah, it's an amazing city. So we've been here for a couple of years.
Oh, how gorgeous. That's on my visit list for sure.
Oh, it's pretty incredible. So I highly recommend it.
So look, Belinda, you're back with your first studio single release since 1996. Why was now the right time?
Well, it's all kind of an accident. I wasn't really looking for something like this. My son ran into Diane Warren at a coffee shop, and she said, "What is your mom doing?" And I mean, I had plans to just kind of slow down after this year and work a little bit, but not a lot. And so she called me and said, in her, I'm not going to say what she said because she swears a lot, but she said, basically, come to the studio because I have some hits for you. And I was like, oh my God, do I really want to do this? Because it's, a big commitment.
Of course.
So I thought I'd be stupid if I didn't go. So I went, and I was kind of freaked out about how good it was. So here I am with a new EP that's coming out in May, but my new single, which came out yesterday.
Oh,
and I love it.
We're so happy that you're making new music. It's so brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, we loved having you in the UK. You were in the piano room for Radio 2, which was amazing. We loved that.
Oh, thank you. I had no idea. I'm glad nobody told me how big it was.
It's huge.
I was just all right, and I knew I couldn't mess up because it's live, but I had no idea. And my manager didn't tell me until after. I was like, oh my God.
Oh God.
I'm glad you didn't tell me. So, but it was a lot of fun, and I loved it.
Oh, it was so brilliant. And look, we've asked you to pick some tunes for us on the show. So first up, we'd love to hear a 90s tune that gets you on the dance floor. What might that be?
Well, it's Missing by Everything But the Girl. That's my choice. I mean, I still think that song sounds as fresh as it did when it was released. Yeah. And I love Tracy Thorn's voice. And when I lived in London, she was my neighbor, and I was obsessed with her. I'd walk past her house and look in her window.
No way. Did you end up chatting, or was it just from a distance?
No, because I was too scared. And I was just...
But you're Belinda Carlisle.
No, but I was totally intimidated. So it was funny because, a couple of years ago on Twitter, someone mentioned that I used to do that, and I was obsessed with her, and I'd walk past her house, and she was like, well, why didn't you come in for a cup of tea? She was, But anyway, I love the song, and I love her voice. I think she's incredible.
But you're Belinda Carlisle. You can say hi to whoever you like, quite frankly.
No, believe me, no.
You can. Look, we're going to play this now to get everyone on the dance floor, quite frankly. This is Everything But the Girl, Missing, the Todd Terry remix from 1995.
I step off the train, I'm walking down.
That was Everything But the Girl. We never tire of playing that song on this show. It is timeless, as you say, Belinda. It stood the test of time. There's so many 90s songs that you listen to now, and they sound fresh. They sound new. It's the sign of a very good song.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is that, because I've been doing this for a long time, is that if you can break a song down on acoustic guitar and it sounds good, then it's a great song. And,
yes.
And I would imagine that song Missing is probably amazing on acoustic guitar too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. It's so good. Now, this might be impossible to answer because you did so many performances in the 90s, but is there a particularly memorable one?
Well, in a good way or bad way?
Your pick, your choice.
I'm just thinking, off the top of my head, I opened for Rod Stewart on a few shows in the UK, and I remember that I was growing up, I had cut all my red hair off, and I had really short hair, and it was just when hair extensions came out, so I thought, well, I'm growing it out. It looked hideous, so I had to do something. So I had some of the first extensions, and I would be singing, and they would literally be falling out on the stage as I sang and danced. And it was like that. It was so horrible. And when I see pictures of me with the extensions, I can't even look at it. It's too hideous.
Do you know what, though? Don't feel too bad, because in the 90s, we all had terrible haircuts. It was just part and parcel of being in the 90s.
That is true. And the 80s,
I
too.
actually had hair that looked a bit like Rod Stewart's in the 90s. Mine was awful.
Oh, God.
Poor
I
Rod.
know. Well, I had that perming and bleaching at the same time, which is never a good idea. So,
oh, God, I had a perm. I had a perm in the 90s. Everyone had a perm in the 90s.
Yes, exactly.
I had a perm and a straight fringe.
That's classic.
That is classic.
That's funny.
No, it was not funny. It was terrible. I can't look back at any pictures from that time. Right, time for another tune. Now, Belinda, you must have met so many people in the 90s, but we're going to hear a tune from someone that you remember meeting, and that is Natalie Imbruglia, Torn.
Okay, I love that song. And there's a whole story behind it, but she did an amazing job. And I just met her, and I was always a fan. And we were doing a show together in Sweden over the past summer, and we just got on really well. And I thought she was, very funny and charming. And I think she has a great voice. I wasn't surprised that she was great live, but I mean, she was great. Amazing live too.
It's such a good song. Surprisingly, in the UK, this song Torn only got to number 2. How is that possible? It should have definitely been a number 1.
I know. Well, it's number 1 in my book.
Oh, me too.
It has that sort of energy to it where, in the same way as Missing, it's timeless and it always sounds fresh.
It does, and a really good video as well. So let's play it now. This is Natalie Imbruglia with Torn. That was Torn from 1997, as chosen by the one and only Belinda Carlisle, who is on Sounds of the 90s right now with us. Now, if you had to go back to any place in the 90s, where would you go on the globe? What would the place be?
Well, I was living in south of France in the 90s. I mean, I lived there for 24 years, so it's just so dear to me, that part of the world. And that's where I'd go back to. I just have such fond memories. And yeah, we left about 7 years ago, and I'd love to go back, but I'd also love to turn back the clock because it was probably the last of the really good years of that part of the world.
It was very chic in the 90s. I mean, it still is a chic place, but very chic in the 90s.
Yeah. It was still before globalization and a lot of, global changes, and it still had... it still does have a charm, I'm sure. But, I mean, back then, there was something so sweet about it. Really, really sweet.
What led you to France in the first place? Because I had no idea you lived there for so long.
I literally got a globe out. It was like eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And we chose France because we had been on holiday there a lot. And my husband, throughout his childhood was there quite a bit. So... we left LA and we gave it 6 months and we ended up staying 24 years.
Wow. That's so cool. I love that.
We've done that many times since then. We've lived in like 8 countries. So, we've been doing that since 94. Just moving around.
It's magical. I love it. Take me back to the 90s, but take me back to the south of France in the 90s, please. That's what I'd like to do right now.
Yes.
Oh, so wonderful. Right, Belinda, I've got one final song of yours that you've chosen. We asked you which tune from the 90s do you wish was yours, and you said Dido, Here With Me.
I think she's an amazing songwriter. The song structures are so unusual, and her voice is so pure. But I think the songs itself, she's an amazing writer. So I love how the melodies are sort of complicated, and I'm always attracted to more complicated melodies when I sing. So yeah, that would be my song, or one of her songs, but I just picked that one off the top of my head.
Did you get to meet Dido back in the 90s?
No, I never have. I'm supposed to have lunch with her at some point, so I'm sure I will one day.
Oh, that'd be lovely. Lunch with Dido and Tracy Thorn.
Yes, exactly. We can all get together.
Dream lunch. Well, let's play it now. This is Here With Me from 1999. Belinda Carlisle, thank you so much for being on Sounds of the 90s.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.